Hey,
So
it's the
yeah.
first of the month. It's
Oh,
time for Jeff and Barry to talk and have fun. And I'm going to start this one off with a quote that came in from Rick Jesse. He says, he calls it the tiny box that haunts me day and night.
so the one thing, and I'll mention this out loud because everybody knows my opinion about the iPhone. I've never made a secret of it. The one thing I love, I said that out loud about the iPhone, is this little switch on the side that when you flick it so you can see the red line, there are no sounds coming out of it at all.
Aha.
And I employ that religiously. So, but I'm in sales now. I can shut the phone off and walk away from it.
There you go. And so,
Barry, is this that little box?
what's that?
Is
Oh,
a
that looks like a
Motorola
pager
pager.
here. Is that a, yeah, it is. I remember those.
Yeah,
And
I've
we
got
much
start,
one
better media
customer
on it.
that's,
we
yeah.
started this, Jeff and I, talking about the days when we used to find the spots where the pager didn't work. And so you could sort of go 10-7 for a while for lunch or whatever without getting calls. And then the cell phones came along and we were looking for sites where the cell phones worked and didn't work. And
Oh, still do.
we still do.
But I mean, like when I started in Nautel in 1990, I mean, that's what we had was one of those big old Motorola bricks, and it was numeric only. It just put up the number to call, which was for us always our answering service. And, when you were on call, you couldn't be more than 30 minutes from a landline just because of our callback policy, which meant you were pretty much confined to the house and the immediate surrounding area for that week or two that you were on call.
Well,
Or you loaded two big cardboard boxes full of manuals into the trunk of your vehicle and just made sure that you were within half an hour of a gas station every time.
yeah. I
Um,
had a station south of Tucson here at the mines that took over half an hour to get to, and I had the brick. This is 1987, and I eventually had to get a second battery because there's nothing else
mhm.
you could do.
Yep.
But
And then we went to the Motorola bag phone, the calling in an airstrike phone,
yeah,
3 watts of RF pump right through your head. Um,
and so
that
now
explains
today
some
we
of
have
the,
these iPhones that will show us things. People have their noses buried in them for that god awful TikTok, and yet we can manage our transmitters, we can manage audio, we can hear alerts, we can do all sorts of things. And so that's kind of where we're at today. Is it a blessing or a curse to have a,
well, and see, so I choose to look at it as a blessing, but I do tend to manage and I won't say I'm good at it yet, but I've been working at managing my online time a little more. Um, for like what Mark said, I mean, in either this one or my personal cell phone, I can access every manual that we've converted to PDF through a OneDrive account off the cell phone. It's harder to read them, but if you're not near a paper manual, it's really cool to have that access. And I was standing in, I want to say it was Georgia, might have been Wisconsin, but one of the trade shows, one of the five I did this month. Uh-oh, there, see, there's the other downside to it. It rings. There's that little red switch.
hmm,
But yeah, I was standing at a trade show and a guy came by and asked me a question about something, and I opened the manual up on the phone, zoomed it in, and we're looking at it, and it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, this right here. I think this is your problem. So, we were able to do that in real time because I had the manual right there.
yep, yep. Mark
Like what
makes
you're
the
doing
point
right
that
now.
iPads are good for that, and you
Hmm.
actually can see more of the
Right.
schematic.
Well, and the other thing that I like about the cell phone, and I use my personal one over my work phone just because I get a much better data rate from my personal provider, but I can use it as a hotspot and access it on my laptop. Then my laptop becomes my connection.
Mhm.
And I probably use the Wi or the phone as a hotspot as much as I use it, or a hotspot or a Facebook browser as much as more than I use it as a phone. I, couldn't tell you how many phone calls I get in a week, but it's not many.
Uh, And one of the things I wanted to find out from you, what
Yeah.
are your favorite apps to be on your phone and apps that you would recommend to the rest of us? And this is sort of free flowing, but rather than talk over one another, if you want to raise your hand or otherwise put a note in the chat here. I can call on folks in a more orderly fashion, and let's see what we can share. See the things that work well, and uh, things that are a mistake not to stick into your phone.
Yeah, and I mean, I like, of course, obviously, most of the stuff I do now is sales and travel related. But for me, for example, TripIt, if I'm going anywhere, I can throw my airplane reservation, my rental car stuff, my hotel bookings. I can create entries for appointments and stuff. It all goes into TripIt, and I've got a just step-by-step itinerary to work through. Um, Mark mentions that Notes is great. Yeah. So let's see. Now you're going to make me look. The other thing, and this is probably more important, and I do it more on my personal phone. I'll try and shove it up to the camera so you can see it if I can find the page there, is how you organize it. Everything I do is in a folder by task.
Hi, you didn't get
So, like, I've got tasks. I've got this one's got finance, food and recipes, surprisingly enough, social media stuff, travel, Microsoft, entertainment. But there's the big challenge. These things will hold so much information, and if you don't have a method of organizing you can. I mean, sure, you got a search window, but it's just easier to have it organized so you can find it. And same thing on the personal or the work phone. I've got a travel one. I've got business. I had at one point work apps, but I think I deleted that and spread them around. Um,
You
Mark's got a great point about the camera. The camera is critical.
and you use the FLIR camera, I know.
Oh yeah, yeah, the infrared over and above. Yep. So I've got that. I've used the regular camera. Take pictures of things I see, that'll show up in a presentation at some point. Um, Mark's got a good point about using it to take notes of serial numbers. And at that juncture, you could create a serial number folder in your photo directory, and it could be even better. Yeah, or you won't believe this. You won't believe this is probably the theme for most every presentation I do. I've got VNC viewer on here, which is good for accessing STUM stuff. This one less so for work, but more because I've got a SoundHound. I love SoundHound, and it's when you're hearing a song and you don't know what that song is, you just activate SoundHound. It listens for a bit and says that's this by this person or whatever, this artist. Flight Radar, I love Flight Radar. Use that one a lot for trying to figure out what planes where. Of course, Uber, Lyft, all the stuff for travel. I'm just scrolling through looking to see what else I've got.
Something in the transmitter building?
What's that?
Do you have a favorite dB meter?
No, I've tried half a dozen SPL meters, and they seem to be like I can get three different readings depending on whether I'm using the a headset mic, whether I'm using the iPhone mic, whether I'm using the an external wired microphone. So I don't have a lot of faith in those over a conventional mic. I do or did at one point. So here's one I do have on my personal phone. I've got ChatGPT on it, just because it's both really cool and really scary at the same time. And I'll give you an example. So ChatGPT is open. I can't really share this phone screen easily, but I had it, and I just told it design an EAS generator in Linux. And so then I hit go, and you're going to watch it think for a bit, and it'll cogitate about life in general. And of course, I'm mirrored, so I can't move the screen. But in a couple of seconds, it will start generating the preamble. I forget how long it took. I think it took me, I did this on the show floor in Calgary the other day, and it took it roughly 2.5 minutes to go through all of the preamble, And you might want to have actually a session about AI someday, if you haven't, and I missed it because I think it's really cool. I should look at the screen. Finalizing EAS generator design, designing response, crafting the technical response, and here it goes with the code. And this is like real time creating it. Now, the caveat, like it will tell you the concepts, what and the legal aspects, and then it starts kicking out. Let's see if that's there. So there you can see how fast it scrolls through as it's typing. But now it's picking through. Now it's given the discussion about the generator. It created the same codes. It created the tones. It described the technical aspects of the EAS tones. It's covered the legalities of when you should and shouldn't use them. And this is all the preamble before it even starts anything. And there it's creating the code. And then we get to the footer information where it tells you everything it did and why, and next steps. Also tells you what Linux stack it should work on and everything. And let's see here. So it is chewing through the code, just finished the code, give me operational considerations. Now it's creating documentation and it's done. So in that length of time, I created a software-based EAS generator, CAP compliant, working with same code.
So what you're saying is the whole FCC NPRM is worthless. You've just solved it, and we should all go home.
So what I am saying, and here's the caveats, because they're lengthy and many, because number one, that's ChatGPT, subject to corruption because it's working off the pool of collected database. So for every good answer out there, there's 15 stupid answers, which means you better have somebody that knows what they're doing debugging and verifying this. 15 ways from Sunday. Now, I can tell you from my experience with our company, when we come up with a software build, the regression testing, verifying everything we changed, everything we did, and all the functionality is roughly a 6-month process. We can cut that down a lot with AI, but we'll never eliminate it because, yeah, you're only as good as the source code you're working with. So it's cool. It's got a lot of power. It's got a lot of functionality. The whole FCC NPRM is whether we should or whether we shouldn't, not if we can. We already know we can.
All right. Over on the YouTube, Parsons tells us that in the field, his primary app is My Radar
Mhm.
or
For
for
weather radar, absolutely.
weather-related things.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that one. And I've got the other thing I've got, which is kind of cool in my mind, is a very accurate compass.
That was my
Not so
next
much when you're
question.
holding it vertically.
That was my next question.
Hmm.
What is which compass do you use, and where will
So
folks find it?
So mine, the app, and this one's on my Android, so it came from the Play Store, but it is called Compass. That's the name of it. And you basically you wave the phone around a couple of times or make figure eights. It walks you through the calibration procedure. So right now and it'll tell you depending on the signal it gets or the GPS. I'm not sure how it works, but it will tell you the accuracy based on probably how much it's been calibrated. I have compared it. So right now, let's take a peek here. So my camera is, I guess it changes if I sit it on my laptop, surprisingly to nobody but me. But I've got a forget what brand engineering compass from about 40 years ago. And the two of them are within, I would say, about 2 degrees of each other.
So where are you?
Where am I? What do you mean, where am I? I'm not looking at latitude and longitude. That's GPS. That's a whole different thing. I've
Yes.
got it. So, oh, sorry. My camera is pointing the phone at it 15 degrees off due north, east of due north, relative to me, that is. Not that anybody really worries. But yeah, and so my radar, that is, oops, right beside the Southwest app on my phone.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, also a really good one. I do have several drawing and doodling sort of apps on here. Just because it's nice sometimes to be able to use your phone like a notepad, sit down and sketch out what you want to do. Obviously, rewards programs, but that's whether it's beneficial or not, I don't know.
Well,
I had
what about the matter of dish alignment? So you want to be able to look up at the sky?
So you can get inclinometers. I had one on my previous iPhone. I don't know if it made the transition to this one. And I use mine more for measuring construction angles like roof pitch and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's another good one. Now you got me wondering. QR code reader over and above just using your phone camera. See, maintenance app for my vehicles, just so I can keep track of which one needs an oil change next. Is
How
that the one
about
I think it is?
how about an app for Spectrum? Do you find that you can see anything on your cell phone well enough, or do you need to go to an iPad or a full computer to get anything useful?
For me, I'd probably want to go to the computer for that, but that's just because I'm old and blind. I do have another one called Zoom Earth, which is another weather app. It's oh, and Windy. Windy's weather app is really cool too. But like the Zoom Earth app shows you wind speed over and above like just radar and stuff. So I don't know if that's gonna, there you go.
It's a little out of focus, but we're getting the idea.
I'm a little out of focus too, so that works out well. But yeah, so like if I zoom out into the North Atlantic a little, I can see the hurricanes that are playing around in the North Atlantic right now. And again, not really useful. Mark's got a good note about mileage and expense trackers. In-house, we use Certify, which is I think now on Burse, and their expense tracker works really well on the iPhone. I said that out loud. So yeah, there's the FLIR app. I've got the app for my drone is on my personal phone. Evernote, I've mentioned that one a bunch of times. I use Evernote for working with. Okay, stop. It's trying to update, so we're not getting there. I haven't used it recently, but with my Rocket books, the little the reusable notepad that I like. I can set the Rocketbook so when I scan the page with the Rocketbook app, it automatically files it to my Evernote account, which has got OCR. So I can create a PDF, I can embed pictures in it, I can do written notes, I can import documents, all with the phone for that. So that's cool. Now, Evernote now used to be you could build a free account, and that's what I always had. But now you've got the ability to create a paid account, and they just tell you what level of payment you can do with. I
There's
was
a
looking.
number of applications that have moved from the freebie to feature and payment,
Oh,
which
sure.
is, you know, I guess a normal evolution in the industry.
Well, and I guess the theory is they create the free one to so you start using it and discover that you actually do like it and it's beneficial to you, and then they start charging because eventually somebody's got to make money, or it just ain't going to happen.
There's a few of them that I can think of where that's happened, and you
Mhm.
started out with a free app, and then they said, "We're going to shut it down, or you can start paying."
Well, and it comes down to. And oh, prime example would be Linux. I mean, Linux is user supported, user generated, and yeah, it's free. The downside is that there's an upgrade that breaks a driver. You've got to wait till somebody else discovers that and creates it, unless you want to
Sure.
write your own drivers.
I used to use
So,
Leech FTP a lot,
mhm.
which was free. It was written by a fellow in Germany about 20 years ago, and it just works. Uh,
Yep.
playing with FileZilla right now, and that again is
Hmm.
a nice one that works. I like very much ShareX. And if you have a computer, a cell phone with ShareX or your desktop, you can take a picture of any part of a screen or the whole screen. You can do video or audio, uh, both, watching what you're doing. If you want to take a quick shot of, let's say you disassembled a tube socket or something.
Hmm.
You want to know where all those screws go on the way back. So
Yep.
that's a really fine program. It's a freebie, ShareX.
And I mean, of course, then the mandatory thing, and I've said this over and over, like both Samsung and Apple repeatedly want me to put my credit card in. And I'm a little skeptical about exactly how much I trust anybody else to secure it. Of course, then again, the only time my credit card's been compromised, it was in my hand. So, you know, the
Yeah, the idea that you can carry your cell phone and just tap the
right,
kiosk or
Google
whatever.
Wallet or Apple Pay, whichever you prefer, Google Pay, Apple, whatever they call them. But yeah, there are options like that. Um, let's see, don't allow. Oh shoot. Yeah, it seems like I don't use the apps on that phone near as much as I used to think I did. But again, I'm old enough, I do almost everything with a laptop, so it's hit or miss. Used to be, everybody remember the Steve Shot electronic calculators
Yep,
from Continental a million
e-slide.
years ago? I mean, yeah, eSlide, thank you. Is there anything like that for a cell phone?
Oh, well, the problem is there are some partial ones that a few folks did. The e-slide itself, unfortunately, is outdated, and although I've looked for the code so it could be recompiled, if you're further along than Windows 7, I don't think it'll run.
Okay, I was just always curious about that. I'm trying to remember if I put my Rocketbook on this phone. I see the app, but I don't see my account set up, so I'll have to mess with that later.
On YouTube, we have a mention of Concur for expense reports, and
Yep.
he drives a Tacoma. So the Toyota app lets him start the truck and unlock the doors. And he
Hmm.
has interacted with his Alexa so he can use a voice command to start his truck in the morning.
Well, and so some of the vehicle apps, like I'm a Chevrolet driver and I've got my Chevrolet app. And where I find it beneficial is I've got mine configured so every month I get an email giving me the operational status, telling me when it's due for the next oil change and stuff like that. And I find that incredibly convenient. I mean, the thing will tell me, it'll send me an email or alert on my phone if I have a tire low. And I mean, obviously, if you have a tire low with TPS, you're going to have a sensor in the vehicle telling you anyway, but it's like everything else, if your vehicle starts making a funny sound, turning the stereo up fixes it.
I think I might
So,
bring us to door locks and security features that are on cell phones as well as other ones. Most, in fact, of the cameras that I've seen, very often it'll only work. Wise or those like that will only work on a cell phone. Uh,
mhm.
Anyone have a particular favorite that they use for security or codes or there's one I just saw a blurb, and I have not had a chance to go look for it. But the Wise current version, you wave your hand at the door, and that's sufficient to open. It'll recognize your palm in the air.
So I do have like we've got 2FA on all of our non-tel related work apps. And I do have my Salesforce, the one we use the most, configured such that if I have my phone on my person within like 3 feet of me and I log into Salesforce, it detects the phone and automatically lets me in. So you don't have to go through the get your code, type your code in, et cetera, and so on. So again, there are some cool things like that. I am a big fan of digital wallets and or the security you
But
can
not for
use with
credit
those.
cards.
Again, not no, absolutely not putting my credit card into my device. You know, I will with PayPal because I figure I've got a little more protection there, although I think that's been proven to be a false sense of security as well. There's general rule of thumb, if it can get hacked, eventually it will get hacked.
Mark, you mentioned here something about using the camera to measure things. Is there an app that you use for that?
Where am I? Uh, no, it's just a built-in thing in the iPhone.
Okay. I mean, does it estimate at whatever distance what the size of something is?
You can get a pretty accurate measurement. Like if you take a picture of something that's a box or a square, it's very good. Um, Long distance from the camera, not so great, but it close enough.
And what's the name of this app?
It's just called Measure. I don't have my phone here, but
Measure. Okay.
it's just part of what Apple puts on the phone.
Mary, you have thought here about Camect?
Yeah, I met one of their reps in Kentucky that has a product for transmitter security, and the box is relatively inexpensive. You can hook any camera to it. I think he said the box was like 450. So it's not an expensive product, but it gives you like remote coverage and stuff like that.
The one thing I've found when you look at Ring and you look at Yi and you look at some of these others, they all seem not to want to talk with one another. And so if you want to put a whole system together, you need to plan it out up front.
Yeah, he said that this is kind of like Ring on steroids, but it works.
Hmm.
So I thought I'd just throw that out there. I met him in Kentucky, so
Hmm. Good. Anyone else want to share an app that you find particularly useful that you would feel that your fellow broadcasters would enjoy or
I've got Fender,
utilize?
Fender play in there as I try to teach myself guitar slowly and painfully.
I'll chime in real quick, man. So I use a lot of Apple HomeKit for this kind of stuff, right? I use it with like SwitchBot, so I can power up and down transmitters based on like time of day, follow the sun, even weather, right? All of that's there kind of to be ingested and leveraged. We do it as far as like satellites, right? We turn satellite systems on and off at certain times of day to save power because we don't require it. Little tricks like that we leverage through HomeKit a fair bit. Kind of a non-unique way, but thought it might be interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, I've got both TeamViewer and Rust Desk for remote control of stuff. Not so much for remote control, more for remote access. But like one of the things you can do, Rust Desk as an example, it lets you share screens, which on a cell phone is a pretty cool feature to be able to have. We
What's the
use
name of that Rust desk?
Rust Desk. I don't
Okay.
remember why I've got it downloaded on this phone because this isn't a phone I would normally put something like that on, but there you go.
Team Viewer
Uh,
is awfully expensive for, single contract guys or something like that that aren't going to be supported by a company.
right, and as I recall, the reason I originally put Rust Desk on here was to because it was free at the time.
I've used AnyDesk. Uh,
Yeah,
that works fairly well. Unlike Team Viewer, AnyDesk has yet to lock me out of my own system. I was in Phoenix one day, trying just to hook to my computer back at the office, and TeamViewer decided that I was a commercial application.
hmm
Gave me
yeah.
about 30 seconds.
We had the same issue. We used to use TeamViewer at the station I volunteer at, which is it's a nonprofit community station. but they decided we were a commercial entity and pulled the plug on us too.
And there's the
So,
service is very poor. You can't
so
really get anything
oh,
out.
it's like complaining to Facebook about anything. You're just wasting your breath, so don't bother. We did end up, in our case, switching to Google's remote access tool. I forget what it's called. I want to say Chromecast, but I could be wrong about that. Um, and that works really well as far as accessing at least the dedicated computer at the studio that is, and it's just a VNC, another virtual network connection. So, it's not as secure. Oh, speaking of apps, on my personal phone, the one that is not controlled by Nautel IT, I run Tunnel Bear. Well, because Nautel IT handles all the privacy and security on my work phone, I don't need to. But yeah, so Tunnel Bear is the VPN that I use on all my personal devices. And it should be logging in and securing a connection, and it's got all this cutesy stuff. Oh, look, also an update available.
Tunnel Bear
But
actually
yeah.
routes through DigitalOcean servers.
Mhm. Well, the cool thing with Tunnel Bear is there are occasionally situations where if I'm traveling and something's geofenced, Netflix would be a good example. Netflix in the US and Netflix in Canada are very different. And it's funny because when I first started using the internet a million years ago, when first Netflix came out, they US Netflix was way, way better. Canadian Netflix was really, really bad. And since then, it's kind of flipped. Canadian Netflix is kind of gotten better, in my opinion. Of course, everything's relative. But the cool thing is when I'm traveling in the States, I can use Tunnel Bear to log in through a Canadian server and access Canadian Netflix. And some of them have ways to detect if you're trying to get around a geofence, and they'll get kind of finicky about it. And Tunnel Bear is cool because it has ways to get around the getting around, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So that's kind of again, and it's like I tell people, I don't care what VPN you're using as long as you're using a VPN, because if you're not encrypted, it's spooky out there.
Well, there's certainly something to say about some of the freebies, and they've been hacked. Uh, that's not always that's a hard one. That's a hard one to call. Now,
Hmm.
let's note that the banks and other institutions, they automatically encrypt whether you're on a VPN or not. Um, and that's usually that's where the little lock thing that on your browser and why HTTPS has taken over from the system that we had before. Harold?
Yeah, I'm back after a Zoom crash here. Need to get the microphone a little closer. I think that the vast majority of stuff now is encrypted HTTPS, and I think that
Mhm.
largely happened when Verizon started adding super cookies and to track people. So then an organization called Let's Encrypt was formed, which issues certificates for free. So you can do encrypted stuff. So that's what I use. I think that now it pretty much, everything is encrypted if you're using a web browser. It's rare to not see it. In fact, my browser puts up a warning that, this is not a safe site or an encrypted site. Don't put
Yeah.
in any passwords and so on.
And Chrome will tend to do that as well. There are still, and I mean the answer isn't a lot, but it's not zero either. There are still a surprising number of sites out there that are not yet running HTTPS.
From
And
Yahoo, we have one of my sites has started using a product called iLog, iLock, ILOQ.
mhm.
They are padlock and door locks, cabinet locks that use NFC on your phone to unlock.
Yeah.
They can remotely authenticate or deactivate. Yeah, that's become a very common thing with these locks now for B&Bs, where people have the code to get in and out of a house for a day or two or three, and then the
Mhm.
owner changes the codes or Or
See,
whatever.
I'm more manual. I use quick set locks on the house, and same deal. They're individually. It's a mechanical program. You stick in a key or a little probe. You shove the key in that you want to program. Pull the probe out, turn the key, and now the lock is keyed to that key.
I had some of
And
those too.
I really like them because if I am going to be away and like our neighbor's looking after the place, she's got a key. And so when we're going away, as we walk out the door, I grab the duplicate of that key and program the front door to that lock or to work with that key. And when we get back, I change it back to our regular keys and her key doesn't work again. And so it only works when we're not home. So,
Yep.
not that that's a, necessary thing, but if you're calling a contractor, you can drop the key off whenever it's convenient that way. And yeah, their key will work until you tell it not to. And if you happen not to be able to get it back, you don't have to worry about it.
I have a back door lock that will take a key, it will take your fingerprint, it will take a code, and if you want to spend a little extra bucks, it'll do an NFC thing. Sometimes it's a little overkill, but if
Mhm.
you're in a particularly sensitive location, oh, it's got a little card as well that you can lay on it. It'll
Yeah.
work. Harold?
Yeah, I just read a thing about the key fobs for cars that people are doing a man in the middle account or attack to steal people's cars. So some people now are storing their car keys in their microwave oven. So that because that's an RF shield.
And I mean, so depending on the key fob, like the challenge these days, of course, the key fob as you walk up to your car is transmitting to the point, yeah, with NFC. But I mean, those things have a range of what, like a couple of feet. I don't think I'd worry about it in my house a whole lot. And the old-fashioned unlock lock one's not an issue at all. So, but having said that, I have an RFID safe wallet for the exact same reason because the NFC on your tap cards is able to be scanned if by somebody walking. Somebody brushes against me in a store, I assume that's what they're trying to do. What do they say? It's not paranoia if they are out to get you.
Well, I only have a single Noid, so what can I say? Anyone
Let's
else
see.
have a
Mark mentioned NordVPN, and yeah, like what I said with the Tunnel Bear. Tunnel Bear happens to be the one I use, but yeah, it's good across all your devices. Make sure you get one, regardless of whose it is. And I like Tunnel Bear just because it is. I don't have time to learn stuff, so it gives it's there. You're not going to be able to read it, but it gives all the directions to me in simple words. Like it's even got split tunneling, which if you ever turn split tunneling on, just don't. But it will set up for OpenVPN, WireGuard, or automatically. It will make your connection look like regular internet traffic and again, there are sites that'll block VPNs, and Netflix does try to because, again, they don't want you to go around their geofencing. So that's the kind of thing I find useful too.
Oh, there's
All right.
Harold.
On VPNs, when I was working for QSC, I had a device from Cisco or Mercado or something like that I could then plug all of my equipment into. This is wired Ethernet, and it put me on their company-wide network. So I could have access to all the equipment there that I was testing with and so on. So that was a great help to me.
Well, that's kind of what any desk or team viewer like that are. There's a server in the middle, and you have to be registered on both ends, and it makes it a little harder. But I imagine hackers can get to almost anywhere these days.
Yeah, this thing gave me a series of Ethernet ports so I could plug in the equipment I was designing, and it would then appear on their network, and I could control equipment, at their office and see how my equipment interacted with it. So it was not just some application running on a PC.
I will at least give a little kudo to Jeff's company. If you try to get into a Nortel transmitter and you mess up the password 3 times, it puts you on timeout. So
Now,
you can't do a dictionary attack. Unless you've got eternity.
right. Now, the other thing I've got that is kind of cool is remote control for all the televisions in the house. But again, Samsung phones, Samsung TVs. So depending on what you have in-house versus on a phone, your
Do you,
mileage may vary. But
you change the channel when your wife's watching and you're in another city?
I think that it works off of the IR, so I don't think that would work, although I've never tried it. I have done a drop-in from another city onto Alexa. Good, the one in my office is unplugged. But yeah, I've done that, dropped in using the Alexa as an intercom just to let her know I was here, there, or everywhere. So I say this connected stuff is really cool and really kind of invasive all at the same time.
It is.